Hey everybody, welcome to Dakota Does Dressage. I've been thinking about the next video that I'm going to edit all week, and I've just gotten a little stuck, and I'm here starting to edit my video, and I just thought, this isn't the video I had intended to shoot and put out. I shot this video to add to my arsenal of 101 Western Dressage Exercises from the book that I have, and I'm not doing this to demonstrate the proper way to do the exercise. It's more like, here's me and Dakota trying to do the exercise, and here's how it's going for us. And the exercise that I picked is where you do some smaller circles in your arena, and it's supposed to help your horse bend and get their hind legs under them and just getting into kind of more of a collected frame. And as I was riding this, that was not happening. It was not happening at all. Dakota is fussing with his head and feeling really behind my leg, and I'm constantly nagging him with my leg. And then I go over and I actually pick up a dressage whip, and I'm like, I'm gonna need this whip because I just can't get him going. And I should have abandoned the exercise. I should have recognized that this is not the appropriate exercise for me to be doing and working on at this moment with this horse. He needs to get in front of my leg. I need to stop worrying so much about getting him in this frame with his head up and being on the vertical and having this perfect picture of contact with the bit and getting his hind legs under him and trying to put all the pieces of the puzzle together at one time. And this is my big flaw, or one of my big flaws as I'm learning working with horses, that I ask for too much too soon. And Dakota will have really great days where I feel like everything just clicked and the connection was there and it's great and we can move on to the next thing. And then sometimes when I try to do that, I end up undoing all of that great work that I did before, and we have to take a few steps back. And that's okay. Like, it's helping me to understand where the holes are in our training and really for me as a rider. And that's kind of what this whole thing is about. It's not necessarily that I'm trying to train Dakota. It's more that I'm trying to train myself as a rider. I'm essentially trying to be my own instructor. So what's not great about that is, it's this whole hindsight is 2020 sort of thing that I have to go through. I watch a video back or reflect on a ride, and then I realize what I should have been doing. And if I had an instructor out there with me, that things would go better, hopefully. Like, they would be able to tell me on the ground, nope, we're not working on this today. We're going to get this horse going and moving. And honestly, like, if I had focused on that for maybe 5 or 10 minutes at the beginning of this ride, he would have been a completely different horse for the rest of the ride. I probably could have returned to this exercise and tried it just a little bit and ended on that note versus focusing all of my attention here on trying to achieve collection when he's just not ready to go there yet. So I completed the ride. It was okay. I've been thinking about it like all week. The next time I went out to ride, I went out thinking just that. I'm just going to get on and work on getting him in front of my leg. So we ended up having to ride in the indoor because it was going to look like it was just going to storm like massively. And that was kind of the beginning of the week of rain that we've had over here. So I was able to get this ride in the indoor, which I would have preferred to be in the outdoor because we'd have more space to really get him going. But again, that was my thought, but not necessarily the goal of the ride. The goal of the ride wasn't to get him to do this great big gait, great big trot or great big canter. The goal of the ride was to just get him in front of my leg. And I don't need a huge space to do that. I just needed him to understand that when my calf comes on, he needs to go forward. He needs to respond to that pressure by increasing stride length and picking himself up and actually going forward. So I only need that for like a few strides, right? Like my legs come on. If he doesn't respond to just some light pressure off of my calf, then I have to reinforce my aid with more pressure or even a little kick from my heel until he's really going to go forward. He did spectacular with the exercise. He did so well with it. I was kind of surprised. I really thought I was going to have to go grab a dressage whip and I'd have to be, my sequence was going to be calf on. If he doesn't respond to that, go with my heel, a little bump with my heel. If he doesn't respond to that, tap with the dressage whip. I not once had to go pick up a dressage whip. So I was so proud of him. And the big difference was I rode him on a loose rein. So if we go back to the ride where I'm trying to do these circles, I'm trying to get him on the bit. I'm trying to get him to accept the contact, which has been an issue with us from the start. So in a whole year's worth of riding, he really hasn't improved in his contact with the bit, which means my whole approach to this probably needs to change. And I was just listening to a podcast from Dressage Today. So if you haven't heard of them, check them out. Pretty much anywhere where you can listen to a podcast, just search Dressage Today. You'll probably find them. I personally listen to them on Spotify. And they were interviewing somebody, I think it might have been Stephen Peters, who was saying you really need to ride the horse to the bit. You can't pull back on the reins and expect to hold the horse in a position and then they're just going to relax into it. And that's kind of been my thought process this whole last year, that I need to tighten my reins. And I've heard things like Charlotte Dujardin says, short reins win gold medals. But that doesn't mean because she's riding with short reins, her horse is on the bit because she's holding them there. No, not at all. It means that her horse is in such good condition and has such amazing self-carriage, and specifically we're talking about Vallegro here, that she can keep her reins that short. And he just stays in that position, like effortlessly. So obviously Dakota's not there. And so I think I've just been asking for too much for him to come onto this contact and shorten this rein. And I've been thinking about, okay, my rein's going to get shorter and I'm going to push with my legs and that's going to get his hind legs under him and that's going to improve our impulsion. And what I'm seeing is he twists his head around and he gets really uncomfortable. So that's kind of telling me two things. Number one, I need to back off. I need to work more on like long and low and giving him his head and letting him relax. And really just work on getting him in front of my leg. And number two, it's telling me that I should evaluate him for any discomfort he might have apart from the saddle. Like, is he really tight in his pull? And is that going to mean he's really tight through his sacrum? Is there pain with his sacroiliac joint? Like, he's an older horse. He's probably got arthritis somewhere. When I had him tested for Lyme disease, we did flexion tests, we did lameness exams. I asked the vet specifically, are you noticing any signs of arthritis? And, of course, without doing x-rays, it would be very hard to say yes or no. But she basically told me, I think he's in really great condition for his age. Like, I wouldn't be that concerned about arthritis. He didn't take a lame step at all. When we trotted him off during the testing, which can be a symptom of Lyme disease. Intermittent lameness was something I was experiencing with him over the winter, but that day when we did the lameness test, nothing appeared lame. So I've just over the last week or so, I've been backing off. I've been asking for less. I've been just trying to focus on the basics. And that's like another key thing. I think I saw it on Instagram somewhere that was like, amateurs want to work on the advanced stuff, right? Like lead changes and piaffe and passage, if we're talking like classical dressage stuff, like all the super fancy things that really make you think dressage. And the professionals are always coming back to work on the basics because they know that the basics are the foundation for all of the advanced stuff that they are going to end up doing with that Grand Prix horse someday. Long story short, I just can't skip over things. I've got to go in and fill those holes as best as I can. And I need to stop worrying so much about the score, I think. The score for the movement. So, this year, if I ride Dakota and I'm not going to push him as hard for a bigger trot or the biggest, swingiest walk that I think I can get, but our harmony score goes up and those collective marks, that's what this is all about. And listening again to that podcast, they also did an interview with Ida Norris, and that was like a revelation. I was like, oh my gosh, yes, everything she's saying is resonating with me. If you don't know who Ida Norris is, she's got a huge resume in classical dressage and Western dressage. She judged at least one of my tests last summer. I'm not going to reveal which test she judged, but she was a judge for me last summer and gave me great feedback. And she was just really honest in that podcast about Western dressage has a greater focus on the rider's harmony with their horse over trying to achieve the big flashy gaits, which is, in her words, really what classical dressage is pushing for more these days. So that was really humbling for me and just helped me put things back into perspective. So this was one of those rides where, I don't regret doing it because I have come out of it having learned something. But I'm going to be more cognizant the next time I ride of riding the horse I have that day. What do I need to do now that's best for my horse? Not necessarily what I think is best for, what I want to put on YouTube or what's going to help prepare us for the virtual tests that we're going to ride. I just need to focus on making my partnership with Dakota stronger. So anyway, that's where this week's video ended up. Just a reflection of what's been going on with him, knowing that winter didn't go exactly the way I had it planned in my head back in the fall. I really thought we were going to do a lot more riding. I hadn't planned on him getting sick, hadn't planned on me getting sick so much. We just lost a lot of time this winter. And I wouldn't say he's really far behind from where we ended things in the fall, but we do have a little bit of catching up to do. I do think we are going to come out stronger in the end because I'm going to start focusing on the right things. So hopefully that's a good takeaway for you and your horse. And if you're just starting with Western dressage, I think that's my little beginner's tip after 1 year of doing this, that really focus on the harmony between you and your horse above all else at this point. Everything will come, but it won't come if you are asking for the wrong things at the wrong time, and the connection between you and your horse is just not there. It's not building. Okay? So thanks everyone, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.